it's always bloody Holly that's last. Just let her in. Wait till where is she? Holly, are you there? Yes, you are. I think you are. Crikey, now we've got a ton of it. There she is. Hi, Holly. Glad you made it. I'm just going to mute you as well. Mute. And I think we're good. We are, and deathly silence in my ears. So I can't hear you breathing. I can't hear you shouting at me. You can swear at me as much as you like now. All right, so we're going to start off with some wrist mobilizations, pretty much because one of the most important things you're ever going to do when it comes to suspending yourself on the floor. So just bring that closer. I see the time. The cat's going to run off with that. I know she is. So starting off, just you can sit however you want to sit. Just clench your fists together or clench into whatever this is, interlace your fingers. And we're just going to start off with some rotations of the wrists. So all I'm doing is pushing one hand on top of the other and rotating them around in a big circle. Nothing, nothing dramatic here, nothing earth shattering. You just try to get some movement and some warmth into your wrists. I'm just going to come a bit closer while I'm doing this because then I can see if anybody does come into the waiting room. So just rotating the wrists. You can see my forearms are kind of glued together and they're twisting at the same time. I'm trying to get as much extension of one and as much flexion of the other as I rotate. And then your brain and your body will have chosen whichever direction that is, thinking, oh, I can manage that. So now I'm going to ask you to reverse that, at which point you kind of go, oh, why does my brain not like that way? So if you can reverse it, reverse it. Like I said, just getting some movement into the wrists. I think we're good. I think we're good to go. And then you're going to come to all fours or thereabouts. You can sit back on your heels if you wish, which takes the weight off a little bit. But just bring your palms down to the floor with your fingers spread as wide as possible. You want to try and get your fingers wide, your thumbs wide, and your fingers flat to the floor instead of clawing. And then you're going to shift your weight forward, nice and gentle to start with. Just shift your weight forward, keeping the heel of the hands down, and then rock back again. So I'm saying nice and gentle just for those of you that have not done this before. Those of you that have been with me a while, you kind of know what you're doing. Feel free to take it as far as you wish. But for those of you who've never kind of taken any weight through the wrists like this before, then just, like I say, keep it gentle. While we're doing this, and it's not very intensive from a teaching perspective, let me just say, if anything tonight doesn't feel right for your body, just feel free to sit it out. You don't have to push yourself through stuff that doesn't feel right. In fact, I would prefer you didn't. And then from there, we're going to take the hands and we're going to point the fingers out to the side. So if you go wide with the hands, that's going to be easier. Narrow is going to be harder on the wrists. And then if you're super flexible, you can go crosswise. But for me tonight, I'm going to choose about here. And then all I'm doing is rocking from side to side. So we're just changing the angle of the wrist. So all the time you've got choices about how much weight you put through your wrists while we're doing this. You know, I can sit back and have a lot less weight through my wrists. I can be right over, taking full body weight, your choice. And then as best you can, you're going to turn your hands around so that your fingertips are pointing to your knees. Now they might be here, you know, they might be slightly out, they might not quite get all the way around, and that's absolutely fine. They go where they go. And then just be nice and gentle, but obviously the rocking backwards this time is what's going to create the stretch, the mobility kind of stuff. Feels a bit funky. This is the point at which your thumbs will start to kind of bend inwards. See if you can spread your thumb out. It probably feels like it's glued to the floor. And then again, come off your wrist. And I'm gonna go this way first, just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So this time I'm gonna bring the backs of my hands down, and this is usually the one that gets people. So be very gentle with yourself as you bring the backs of your hands down to the floor. Again, the wider you go, the easier it is. So you can kind of drag your hands along until you find a point where that's enough, kind of thing. Once you've got that, keeping the backs of the hands down, you're going to make a fist. It probably won't become a fist. If you saw the wrist conditioning video that I did for you, you'll see me doing this and get very happy while I'm doing this, because I feel like a small sea creature. Don't ask me why. I just feel like a small sea creature, like some kind of little octopus or whatever. So you kind of notice which fingers don't want to make a fist. You're like, oh, what's wrong with my index finger? Why is it not to, just won't bend? Or it might be middle finger, it might be a little finger, it might be thumb, my thumb tonight. And we're going to make that the last one. And then the same thing, you're going to turn your fingers towards your knees. So here you want to be very gentle with how much body weight you put through your wrist. I'm taking most of my weight in my thighs. So I'm being very nice to myself. You don't want to be a bulldog here either. You want your elbows to be straight. So you might need to back off a little bit. And then same thing, if I turn sideways on, you'll be able to see me making my little sea creature fists again. And we're nearly done with this, but you'll see why when we get into the heart of the session. A lot of work on the hands. So just trying to get some movement through the wrists, especially if you've got a desk job, you know, if you've been sat at a computer all day. Last couple. Squeeze and release. And then whatever you need to do, just give them a little bit of a shake. Again, nice and gentle, particularly if you're not used to it. A little bit of a shake. And go up and down, side to side, whatever kind of feels what you need in your hands. And you can see me doing quite, I've been teaching all today, and I started off at like 6:30 this morning. So my hands have taken a bit of a beating. So you get the benefit of me doing quite a long wrist conditioning thing tonight. Right, okay, let's start. Let's get on with it. So you're going to come to kneeling position. You're going to have your knees wide. My big toes are together at the back. Starting off nice and simple with some spine movements. I'm just going to turn sideways on so you can see what I'm doing. So you're going to bring the backs of your hands together, your thumbs towards the floor, and you're going to curl the spine. So I'm tucking the tailbone under and nodding my chin down. So I'm creating this big C shape with the spine. I'm reaching the arms forward, thumbs towards the floor, big C shape. And then we're going to reverse that movement. I'm going to open the arms and go palms up to shoulder level as I arch my back. So I'm arching, sticking butt out, chest up, nice and lifted, chin up, gaze up. And from here, just going to lift slightly up. So I'm lifting up out of my knees to open my chest even more. And then we're going to reverse. So as you sink back down, the backs of the hands come together, the thumbs come towards the floor, and you round your spine as much as you can, really reaching the shoulders forward. Same again, you open out the chest, lift the hips off the heels slightly, arch the back, lift the chest, lift the chin, and then return back to flexion, thumbs to the floor, backs of the hands reaching as big a C shape as you can manage. I'm going to go one more time, opening out the chest, lifting, so you can lift as much as you want to. You can stay on your knees if it's a little bit hard work on the thighs. But open the chest, really reach out to the side, 2 big pizzas on each palm. And then slowly release back down. And then from there, excuse me, actually, no, I'm going to stay on my knees. I'm going to teach a modified version of this first, and then we'll progress on. Bear with me, there's somebody waiting. I knew there'd be people that were late. Let's let them in. Okay, so a bit of a modified version of our crab reach for those of you who've done it before. So you're going to stay kneeling, big toes together, knees wide. And all you're going to do is take your, let's go left hand out behind you. I don't know, it's maybe a foot away from my feet at the back. And from there, I'm going to push into that left hand and lift my hips up. So I'm trying to get the front of my hip open. So I'm doing that by activating the glutes or squeezing the glutes, butt cheeks, and trying to open the hip as much as possible. And then release back down. Same again, as you come up, the bottom arm is going to rotate outwards. So if that's inwards with my elbow being able to point backwards, rotating the arm the other way, So my elbow points backwards. Hope that makes sense. Really trying to get open across the hip flexors and then lower back down. One more time like this. Lift the hips. And then release. And then we're going to add in the opposite arm. So the right arm is going to reach over. So as you lift the hips up, reach the arm up and overhead. You can kind of see it's elbow past my ear. Oh, sorry, upper arm past my ear, not my elbow. So I'm really trying to stretch out that right side, lowering back down. And again, as you come up with the hips, arm goes overhead, lower back down. And head position, for me, it's easier on my neck to look down at my bottom hand as I do this. But if your head position is forward or up, that's okay too. Lower back down, we've got one more to do. Opening the front of the hip. And then releasing down. And we're going to switch sides. So depending on how long your arms and legs are, you might need to play with your hand position. But it's about, like I say, it's about 12 inches away from my feet. So hand across the chest to start with, just till we get the idea. Push down into the hands and knees and lift. Trying to open across the front of the hip and release. Up, squeezing the glutes and release. One more like that, lifting the hips and release. And then you can add in the arm for the reach. So the left arm is going to reach up and over. Coming on down. And again, reaching up and over. Big stretch. A couple more like that. Lift. And lower. Let's go one more. Up. And releasing back down. And then from there, let's go into a shin box. So this is where we start to get into a little bit of a flowing movement. So I'm going to break it down for us to start with. Christ knows why it's called a shin box. If you're pedantic like me, it's half a box. So your front shin creates the horizontal, your back shin creates the vertical, and you've got half a box. That's the idea. So in this case, my left foot is hugging my right knee, and it makes my left knee the front one. So that's the shin box. Yeah. From there, come down onto your front. Doesn't matter how you get there to start with, but I want you to come down onto your tummy or your belly. So hands under shoulders. So you're going to push yourself up. So what's going to happen is I'm going to pick my right leg up. It's going to come over and I'm going to push the floor away and I'm going to come up to that shin box position. Yeah. Don't worry, we're going to be doing repeats of all these. So if you ever feel like you just want to sit and watch the first one so you can kind of get an idea. Then coming back, it's the same thing. The hands come back down where they've just left and you pivot back over into your tummy. So do it again on that side. Right leg comes over. I'm pushing the floor away, bending the legs in, gathering them in. So left leg forward, right leg back. And then hands come down and I pivot back over. So if we're doing it on the other side, same thing. It's just going to be the left leg that comes over. It becomes your back leg. And then I twist, find the hands on the mat, exactly where they came from, and back over onto your mat. So the mat's actually quite useful because it means you're not moving all around the floor, which you would be otherwise. So let's just switch from side to side. So coming up into a shin box on one side, twist, find the hands on the mat, pivot back through to laying out flat, and then same on the other side. Pivoting back down. We're going to add on in a moment. I just want you to get the hang of this kind of movement from side to side, just see if you can get it to flow a little bit. Just all about rotating through the spine, getting some mobility through the hips, and just trying to keep it nice and easy to start with. One last time. So on this next one, when you come up, just stay there. So whichever is your front leg, I've just landed on my left leg. Whichever is your front leg, which is the horizontal bit, that's the hand. The hand's going to come down. You're going to do the same hip lift. We've just done it. You're just coming up onto both knees this time and reaching the arm overhead. So that's your low cat. So that's your finish point for this one. Yeah. So the hand comes down. You throw the cat out of the way. You come back down onto your front. And then we go to the other side. So you come up. There will be one hand that trails behind. That's the hand that you use to lift. And you come up into your stretch and you lower the hips down. Yeah. So back over, down onto the mat, into your shin box. There'll be one hand left, sort of makes sense on the mat. And then you lift the hips and reach the arm. Pivot back through, switch to the other side, reach the arm, lift the hips. Coming back down, flattening the cat, shift cat. Couple more on each side. So just opening out the hips, opening out the shoulders, introducing some rotation. Making this next one your last one. Up you come. And sit your hips down and stay there. And then we're just going to get organized on the mat. So I'm coming into, I'm not going to bore you to death with it because I don't think we'll get there tonight. So we're going to start off with what's called a crab position. So crab position, if you can see me from the side, I look like a capital M. My feet are hip distance apart, my hands are shoulder distance apart. And the whole idea with this is you pull the shoulders back and lift your chest up. So you're very proud crab. Yeah, so we're here to start with. So just as a quick activation here, we need to lift your hips up off the floor. But you don't get your hips up by lifting your bottom up and curling your spine. You get your hips up by pushing your hands down into the floor. So you stay proud. You release back down. So push the hands down into the floor to lift the hips up and release back down. Keep going with that. Just staying proud through the chest. Keeping the hips in the middle between your feet and your hands. We're activating a lot of muscles in the back. In fact, a lot of this is pretty much all of it is about all the muscles down the back of the body, trying to create some more strength and power. Hamstrings, glutes, lats in this case. And we're just going to do one more, push the floor away and lift the hips. That's going to be one of our major movements later on. So from where you are there, reach out your right leg. So I'm still hip distance apart. It's on a bit of an angle. And I'm pulling the toes back towards me on that right leg. The left hand is going to come inside the left thigh and against the ribs. Yeah, because we're going to do some more reaching. But to start with, let's just get the hips coming up. So push down into the floor, lift the hips up. Now they'll only come so far. To get any higher than that, you're going to have to come up onto the toes of your left foot. So as you come up onto the toes, you'll be able to lift the hips higher. And you get as high as you get. Come all the way down, right? So if it's not as high as me, don't worry about it, yeah? So lift with a flat foot if you wish. If you want to come higher, lift onto the toes and lift up. So we're just layering on these lifts and this movement around the shoulder. It's a lot of work for the shoulders. Coming on up. Lift onto the toes, and then lower back down. That might be enough. If you want to layer in the reach, feel free. So as you come up, lift the hips, lift the heel, and then reach the arm overhead. Lowering back down. All about the control, right? So up with control is fine usually. It's the coming back down. Kiss the floor with your bottom, nice and gently. And again, lift the hips and take it up and over. And then release back down. Got one more to do. Lift, reach, and lower. And then we're going to switch sides. So feet hip distance apart. You might as well do a reset. Just make sure you're in a good position. So come back to your crab and then reach the left leg out, pulling the toes back towards you to start with. Right hand is now going to come inside the opposite thigh. So we're ready for lifting and reaching. So same thing again, keep the hand still to start with. You come up, see how far you get. That might be enough, or you come up onto the toes, which will allow you to lift the hips higher and then release everything back down to the floor. And again, lift all the way up. Good, good, good. Well, you sit underneath me, you get sat on. And again, coming on up. Nicely done, those of you that I can see. And then we're going to reach with the arm as well. If you wish, you don't have to. So coming on up, reach the arm over. It's a big stretch down the right side and releasing back down. Should be able to get some work or sense some work in that left glute. There's a lot of work going on here into the hip to lift you up. Few more. Last one. Reaching up and over. Very good. And lower it back down. Nicely done. Okay. So coming into some more spinal stuff. So we're going to do our frog unload. It's a modified unload, which we'll get to very shortly. So it's the same thing. Your knees want to be slightly wider than hip distance. My big toes are touching at the back. So my big toes are touching, knees wider than hip distance. I'm sat on my heels. So it's called a frog unload. The unload is about creating a wave through the spine. So we're going to come through in flexion and we're going to come up into extension and come back in a wave. All right. So from where we are there, keep your butt on your heels and you go walk the hands out, lowering the chest down to the floor. Elbows are straight at this point. You don't have to come all the way to the floor. It's just a matter about getting some length through the spine. And I'm going to pull the floor towards me. So tucking my chin to my chest, rounding the spine like a cat-cow kind of position. As your hips come past your knees, pick your feet up. So my feet are lifting. I'm going to start to lower my hips down to the floor. At this point, you want to really squeeze your glutes together, drive the feet together. Keep going down with the hips. The chest lifts, and the very last thing to lift is your chin. And it's up to you. If your neck's okay, you can lift your chin to the sky. But the main focus here is very much on, you can see, I'm squeezing my feet together. I'm squeezing my glutes. Now to go back, we're going to round the spine again. So you're going to tuck your chin to your chest, push the floor away to round your upper back. Tuck the tail as you go back. Your feet will come down automatically anyway. And then you back where you started from. So you've got this wave through the spine. Same again. Pull the floor towards you, rounding the spine, picking the feet up, soles of the feet squeezing together. Hips start to lower, chest starts to lift. Chin's the last thing to come up, and you push the floor away. So you're widening your shoulder blades. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the feet. Round the spine to go back, tucking the chin. Rounding the upper back, the feet will come down automatically. And you back into that kind of, it's almost like a modified child's pose, really, isn't it? Let's do one more. Unload. Rounding the spine forward, lifting the feet. Squeeze the feet, squeeze the glutes, drop the hips, lift the chest. Lots to think about. I'm just going to pause there, really push the floor away so your shoulder blades are wide. Going back, same thing, tuck the chin, start to round the spine back and all the way back down. And you can release out of that. All right, so one of the movements that we're going to be doing later is called the scorpion. So we're going to do a modified version of that just so you have an idea of where it's going. So you're going to start off on all fours. Thing that I notice when we come to all fours for most of us, unless I'm asking you to do it, but most people kind of come short and they're here. So make sure that your knees truly are under your hips and your heels of your hands are under your shoulders. So you're nice and long through the spine. Yeah, so you're not starting off in this little cramped position. Nice and long through the spine. And then from where you are there, you're going to bring your elbows down just in front of where your hands were. So we're going to work with the right leg first. So you're going to bring your left leg closer to the center of your body because it's going to be your kickstand. It's going to be your balance. And we're going to work with the right leg. So I'm just hovering the right knee off the ground. I'm going to turn my knee to point at the other one, which means my foot is going to point out to the side. So I'm leading with the toes, essentially. I'm just going to make a big hip circle. So leading with the toes, my leg's going to come out to the side. I'm going to start to lift it up. And as it passes my hip, I'm going to start to open the hip and twist my shin towards the sky. Yeah, so shin towards the ceiling. So literally all I've done is just open my hip bones towards you guys. So this is your top position. Yeah, this is what we're going to get to. So we're holding here, just checking in. So shin towards the sky and trying to stack my top hip on top of my bottom hip. Lots of rotation, but lots of work in the glutes. And then coming back the same way, I'm going to make that big circle with the knee this time. So leading with the knee all the way out to the side and then back in and under. Let's go again on that side. We'll go a little bit quicker this time. So same thing. I'm going to turn the foot out to the side, point the toes. The leg's going to come out, around, up, and over. So pointing the leg to the sky. So knee to the sky, shin parallel to the ceiling. Big stretch. See if you can split the legs anymore. And then leading with the knee coming all the way back down. And then we're going to switch sides. So you bring your right knee slightly closer to center, so it gives you some balance. And then we're going to work with the left. So same thing, turn the knee towards the other knee, so you're leading with the toes. Start to drive the leg out to the side, up, out and around. The point at which it hits that top position, twist at the hips, shin to the ceiling. And then we're going to reverse, leading with the knee this time, coming all the way out to the side again. So lots of work into the glutes, and then back around and down. One more time, leading with the toes, up, out and around, all the way up, shin parallel to the ceiling. And then leading with the knee to come back out and around and all the way down. And you can sit up out of that. One last one to get through. That's the warm up done. One last one. So it's a modified side kick through. Again, movement that we're going to get to. So this is us warming up all the movements that we're going to use in the main part of the session. So side kick through. I'm going to work my left leg. So my left leg is going to stay pointing straight out towards you lot. My right leg, I'm going to bend it. Now it's not coming really close to my body. I want it kind of slightly out to the side. It's maybe a foot's distance away from me. And you could play with these angles and distances at some point, but that should give you an idea. You want your toes of your right foot pointing in the same direction as the kicking leg. Yeah. The hand that's kickstanding is just, again, about a foot away from my hip, but in line. But essentially everything's pointing towards you, really, apart from my fingertips. Yeah. All right. So from there, we're not worried about this hand at the moment. So just cross that across your chest, just to get it out of the way. Just taking a layer of complexity off. We'll add the reach in a minute. But otherwise, all I want you to do is keep the heel on the floor. Same thing again as we've been doing. Push down into the shoulder or down into the arm and lift the hips up. Yeah. And then lower back down. So lifting the hips and lowering back down. Got one more to do. Lift and lower. Then you're going to reach your hand towards your toes. Cat's going mental down the side here. Reach the hand towards the toes. As you lift the hips, you're going to pull the elbow back. So the back of my hand is towards my cheek and the elbow is reaching up towards the sky. It'll make more sense when we do the whole thing, but then I'm going to lower the hips and reach towards my toes, lift the hips and pull the arm back. And I'm kind of rotating, I'm twisting and looking back over my top shoulder. Reach towards the toes, pull the elbow back, and then release back down. Good. Wrap the hand across the chest again. So we're going to do a pull with the leg this time. Excuse me. So you're going to lift the hips. This is where it gets exciting. Lift the leg. So it's hovering off the floor. Now it is turned out and I have got my toes pointed. So the pull is going to be pulling, bending that left leg, bringing the big toes to meet each other or the toes to meet each other, and then straightening it back out. Bending toes to meet each other, straightening it back out, bending toes to meet each other, straightening it back out, and then lower the hips down. I'm going to repeat on the other side. So feet straight out from, or legs straight out from your body. Bend the left leg in this time. And just get myself organized. I'm pointing towards you. So everything in a straight line. Hand just outside the body. Opposite hand across the chest. Left hand across the chest. Toes pointed. Leg slightly rolled out. It makes it a lot easier when we get to the full thing. And same thing. I'm just going to lift the hips up and lower back down. Lift the hips up by pushing the floor away. It's all about creating tension through the body by using gravity. Let's do one more. And then let's add in the arm reach. So while your hips are down, reach the hand towards your toes. It's just a matter of twisting that way to reach towards your toes. And then as you lift the hips, I'm pulling the elbow back and releasing back down to reach towards the toes. Pull the elbow back, twist and look over the shoulder. It's only a small rotation, obviously. It might not feel like very much, it gets bigger. One last time. Hit the cat's playtime. Cat's doing the wall of death and then release back down. So doing the same thing, the pull of the leg. So again, we don't need this hand at the moment. Let's leave that out of the equation. Lift the hips up, pick the leg up, and just going to bend, sort of tap the toes together if you wish, and then kick it back out. Tap the toes together, kick it back out. Tap and kick, tap and kick. And then you can lower the hips back down. And now we get into the meat of things. So it's entirely up to you. I've been obviously doing this for a while, so I find it easier without a mat. That doesn't mean you might find it easier tonight without a mat. It's a bit brutal on your hands and knees, unless you're not spending a lot of time on your hands and knees, but it's entirely up to you because it helps you pivot on the floor. You'll see what I mean. So it's up to you. If you're on carpet, you're on carpet. But if you've got like a wooden or shiny floor, it's a lot easier to pivot on your toes. Okay, let's start off with Beast. So Beast is one of the base positions that we're going to use. You're going to start off in all fours. Toes are tucked under at the back. Now, this is the time when, despite me saying that in all fours, you want to be long through the spine, this time you're going to bring the knees slightly further forward. So you want your knees. So if I was to drop a plumb line from my belly button, my knees would be in line with that or thereabouts, right? It doesn't have to be perfect at this moment. Push the floor away. You're going to come into what we call Beast activation. You're just going to hover the knees an inch off the floor and hold. This is about the most, I don't like the word basic, but it's almost like the simplest plank that you can ever do because you've not got a lot of space to suspend the spine. So it's a good way of training the core without having your spine kind of dangling between your elbows and your feet, or your hands and your feet. And then you're going to lower back down. So coming up again, don't worry, we're not going to do very many. We're going to start moving very shortly. Just want you to get that idea about pushing the floor away. So I'm not collapsing into my shoulders. I'm very actively pushing the floor away. And I'm going to release back down. So that's your Beast position, okay? What we're going to do next is Loaded Beast. So it's almost like loading the spring. So from where we are there, the easiest way to get into it, I'm just shuffling back a little bit, is to sink your bottom back towards your heels and walk the hands away. Don't walk them too far. You want to be in a position where, because you're going to have to lift the knees again in a minute, all right? So you want to be in a position where you can get your head, your ears between your arms, not through, not above, in line. And your knees are going to spread just slightly wider than hip distance. And then we're going to activate again here. Yeah, so you're going to hover your knees an inch off the floor. So you've got to create that tension with the arms to get the knees up off the floor and then lower back down. If you're a bit sweaty like me because the heating's on, actually got a radiator on behind me, I'm sliding along the floor. So if you see me gathering myself back in or face planted, it's because I'm sweating. All right, so the same thing. Hover the knees an inch off the floor, just briefly. 3, 2, 1, and release them down. Okay, our first major move of the evening is the wave unload, right? So we've done the spine movement. We've already done that kind of spine undulation. Now we're going to do it from Loaded Beast. So like I say, we're going to do a few. So if you want to watch the first one, fine. Those of you who've done it with me tons and tons before, you're more than welcome to do it with me. But it's going to look something like this. So we're going to hover the knees. We're going to lift the hips up high. A bit like a down dog. You want that nice long spine, nice high heels. Then we're rounding forward. So I'm traveling forward with my spine in a rounded position. There's going to come a point where I can't travel forward any further. The hips are going to come down, squeezing the glutes just like we did before. The last thing to lift is the chest and then the gaze. Going back, we want that wave through the spine. Yeah, so chin to chest, pushing the floor away, rounding the spine, coming right back up to that high point before bending the knees back to your loaded beast position. Give it a go. Let's give it a go. So set loaded beast, wave and load. Lift the hips high, heels high, hips high. Round the spine, chin to chest. Travel forward, keeping the tail tucked and the chin tucked. When you can't travel forward anymore, let the hips come down, but squeeze your glutes. Lift the chest, and at the very last, lift the gaze. Your choice as to how high you lift the chin. Doesn't matter. Nice strong position. Going back, chin to chest. Round the spine, lift the hips. Hit that high point, pushing the floor away with the arms, and then bend the knees back down to loaded beast, and you can rest them at the bottom. You can rest them whenever you want. You can rest whenever you want. You can always come out of it. All right. Let's do 2 more, one after the other. Then we're not hanging about. So same thing, set loaded beast, hover the knees, lift the hips high, round the spine forward, lower the hips, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the glutes. Last thing to lift, chest and chin. Nod the chin to the chest, round the spine, back up to your high point, bend the knees to a hover. We go straight away. Lift the hips up high, round the spine, travel forward, almost like a plank. Lower the hips, squeeze the glutes, lift the chest, lift the gaze. Chin to chest, travel back, push the floor away. Hips high, heels high, bend the knees to loaded beast, and then rest. Take a moment to just come off your hands. The wrist relief position is obviously the reverse of what we've been doing. So you can bring the backs of the hands together and bring the elbows down slightly. You can do your sea creature here if you wish. If it amuses you as much as me, it probably doesn't. I think it's just me that it amuses. That's your wave and load. Given how many you're on here, I'm not going to ask you how you're getting on. It'll take me all night. You can give me feedback at the end. Give your wrists a shake as much as you need to. Oh, how we do the time. We're not doing so bad, are we? Right, scorpion reach, this next one. All right, so that scorpion position we were doing, leg coming out to the side and up and around. We're going to do that, but we're going to be on the hands this time. So your choice, go as high as you want. As long as you have control, you'll be fine. If you find you can't keep it controlled, just come back out of it, nice and smooth. All right, so we set back up in our loaded beast. So the same thing, toes are tucked under, hip distance apart, knees slightly wider, walk the hands away. So scorpion reach this time, it starts off in a bit of an odd thing. We're going to drive knee to opposite wrist. You'll see what I mean, and then we go up and around. So from where we are here, hover the knees, come forward into a plank, but bring your right knee to your left wrist. Drive it in. And then you're leading with the toes, up, out, and around. Now you can stop with the leg just up to the ceiling, or you can do that little bit of rotation. We turn the heel out, soften the standing knee, and split the legs up to the sky. It's a single leg down dog, similar. Coming back round, we reverse it. So knee comes out and around. It comes across to the opposite wrist, drives in, really drive it in. The leg comes back and we settle back into our loaded beast and we drop the knees down before we do the other side. Are we ready? Are we ready to do left side scorpion reach? I'm waffling in between just to give you a bit of a break because I'm conscious some of you have never done it before. And I'm knackered. It's been a long day. All right, so left side scorpion. Left side scorpion reach. So left leg, left knee drives into right wrist. Leading with the toes out to the side. They come up, out and around. Split the legs And then we're checking at the top. So you've hit that peak position, push the floor away with the hands, heel high, knee soft. That's your standing leg. And then shin to the ceiling. Reverse the movement out to the side, over to the wrist, back to your loaded beast position, and then lower the knees down. Come off your wrists, give them a wiggle. So that's just two of, oh, there's loads. That's just two of the more strengthening movements that we would do. So the stretch and strength involved in those. The next bit we're going to do is all about the flow. So I'm going to start teaching you some transitions so we can get a little bit of a flow in towards the end. So we're going to start off, in fact, I'm going to teach you from crab. Let's do it from crab. So you know crab already, or more or less, yeah? Feet hip distance, hands shoulder distance apart, capital M from the side. My butt's right in between, so halfway between my heels and my hands. So we're going to do an under switch. The key is in the name. Nicole the leg, if it's a left leg under switch, the left leg is going to travel underneath the right leg and we're coming over into beast. Okay, so hover the hips off the floor, pick up your left foot, your right hand comes across the body, pick up your right heel, and then you start to pivot over and you come into your beast position. Now, I'm doing these super slow. The slower you do it, it's actually harder, but it does build some strength. We're going to go back the same way. So left leg under switch to crab, left foot lifts, it comes through, the right hand comes over, and you're back to your crab position. Nice, proud crab. Let's try the right side. So right leg under switch, the right leg goes under, left hand comes into the chest and over, and you're in your beast position, knees hovered. And then right leg under switch back to crab, right leg travels under, hand comes over, and you're back to your crab position. I'm not going to bang on too much about the nuances of everything landing at the same time and what have you, but you get the idea. Under switch. So let's go left leg under switch. Left leg under switch to beast. Keep it going. Right leg under switch to crab. So you've gone in a circle. Go back the other way. Right leg under switch to beast. Left leg under switch to crab. Left leg under switch to beast. Right leg under switch to crab. You've got it, Charlotte. Well done. Come back to beast. Let's do a left leg under switch to beast. And then release the knees down. Those of you that can see that actually look pretty good. So that's your under switch. It's just a transition. It's to get you from A to B. Not easy, but it gets you from A to B. Right, so I'm going to teach you the side kick through. So we played with this idea of this position. Yeah, we're going to go into that from our beast position. So it's going to look like this. There's your big toes coming together. Leg kicks out, elbow pulls back. A lot of work through the shoulder, a lot of work through everything. Yeah, coming back, big toes come together. We've done all that. Pivot back through to beast. So that would be a left leg side kick through. Yeah, like that. Let's give it a bash. Let's give it a bash. So you're starting in beast. All right, hover the knees. Left leg side kick through. So the left leg's an under switch. Left leg comes under, just like we've been doing. The big toes find each other. Drop the heel. Kick the leg out. Pull the elbow back. If you need to sit your hips down on the floor while we're doing it all super slow, do that. Yeah. Then coming back, you've got to lift the hips up to come back though. Make sure you can lift the heel of the standing foot so that you can pivot back through to beast. And then lower the knees. Anybody panting? Anybody else panting? Hope you can't hear my heavy breathing. Hard work doing it slow. All right, let's do the other side. So right leg side kick through. And if you want to turn around so you're facing the camera, you can do. I'm going to stay facing this way so you can see an example from behind. So same thing, hover the knees, right leg side kick through. So the right leg travels under, the heel drops, big toes together, kick the leg, pull the elbow high. Coming back, big toes find each other, lift the heel, pivot back to beast, and lower the knees. You're more than welcome to lower the knees each time in between each thing. We're going to do side to side for a few. If you want to rest at any point and put your knees down, feel free. All right, so let's go. Left leg side kick through. Kick the leg, pull the elbow. Back through to beast. Right leg side kick through. Kick the leg, pull the elbow. Pivot back through to beast. Left leg side kick through. Remember, find the big toes towards each other first. Then kick out. Elbow pulls high. Back through to beast. Right leg side kick through. Back through to beast and lower down. Get a bit of a reprieve. So a lot of this stuff is about pointing in the right direction. The side kick through is on a cross, 90-degree angles. So if I'm in beast, facing this way, the vertical, if you like, I suppose, as it is now, when I do my side kick through, I'm 90 degrees to that with everything. So it's very easy to kind of get lost with where you are in your space, but you want to be 90 degrees to where you started off and back through. Okay, so let's go from beast into a scorpion and back down. So you get to skip all that nonsense with the knee to the wrist. We just go straight up in scorpion, we come straight back down again. And then we're going to use those movements, the side kick through, the scorpion, the beast, the crab. I'm going to put a little flow together so you can kind of see how it all fits. We're doing really well for time as well. Good, right. So set beast. Everything else is the same with your scorpion. The knees hover. You pick up your right foot. You turn the knee so that the toes are pointing out to the side. The leg makes a big arc up and across and over. Push the floor away. Make sure that your standing leg, the heel is high, the heel is slightly turned out, and the knee is soft. Really push the floor away. You want straight arms. And then we're going to come back the same way. So the leg travels out to the side, leaving with the knee. Bend the left leg so you come back through to your beast. Rest the knees if you need to. And then we go left leg, scorpion reach. Hover the knees, turn the foot out to the side, push the floor away, up and over. So it's my right leg is standing leg this time, heel high, knee bent, pushing the floor away with the arms, shin parallel to the ceiling, and then reverse the movement, coming all the way back down, back to your beast, and then lower the knees. You could come off your wrists for a moment again and give your wrists a shake if you need to, or you can come to your wrist relief position. So we're going to put a few of those together. We're going to go from crab into a side kick through, into a scorpion, back through to crab. Oh, yes, we are. Are we ready? Let's do this thing. All right, so starting off in crab. Fingertips pointing back, hip distance, shoulder distance. Proud crab, lift your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together. So I'll start off with the left so I can remember which side I started on. So we're going to do a left leg under switch to a right leg side kick through. Okay, so hover the hips. Left leg under switch to your beast position. Put the left foot down, right leg side kick through. From there, your right leg is going to do your scorpion. So it's going to pull back under you, going to plant the left hand. The right leg is going to continue to travel up and over into your scorpion. And then we're going to come from scorpion all the way back through to crab. So that right leg is going to do an under switch. As it comes back round, it's going to come through and you're going to come all the way over back into crab. And I turn around so I can see you. If your head has exploded at that point, that's absolutely fine. It's completely normal. and it will feel better tomorrow when you've forgotten all about it, all right? Otherwise, let's do the other side. So same thing again, nice prayer crab, hover the hips off the floor, right leg under switch to beast, switch legs to left leg, side kick through. Don't worry too much about what the hand's doing, just worry about the leg. That left leg is now going to continue up into the scorpion, so it's going to travel underneath, and it's going to continue around, up into your scorpion, push the floor away, make sure you hit the high points. Right knee slightly bent, pushing the floor away with the hands. It's going to come back down and come down all the way through in an under switch. It's going to travel under your body. The right hand's going to come over, and you are back to your crab. Proud crab. All right, we're going to have a bash on the other side, maybe a little bit quicker. Not too quick, a little bit quicker. Left leg under switch to right leg side kick through. Left leg under switch to right leg side kick through. Right leg goes under to continue the movement up into scorpion. So right leg scorpion, up. Right leg under switch all the way through to crab. So it comes all the way under and you're back through to your crab position. Other side. Right leg under switch to left leg side kick through. Like a big circle. Good, good, good. Left leg scorpion. So it travels under again, all the way up and around. Hit the high point, really focus on straightening the arms and pushing the floor away. And then the right leg's going to travel under, and you come all the way back over into crab. If you need to rest your hips down, feel free, but otherwise we're going to do one more each side. It's about all we've got time for before we finish off. So same thing. Let's go left leg. Left leg under switch to right leg side kick through. Left leg under switch, right leg side kick through. Right leg scorpion travels up, out and around. Right leg under switch to crab. Right leg under switch to left leg side kick through. Right leg under switch, left leg side kick through. Left leg scorpion, up, out, around, push the floor away. Left leg under switch all the way through to crab. Nice pride crab to finish, and then lower the hips down. And you get to come off your wrists. You can bring the hands back together, back where we started. Give them a roll, nice and gentle. Just sitting in whatever position is comfiest. Oh. So this is all about just releasing tension through the wrists. Some of you will feel it more than others. Some of you will be sat there going, I don't really need it. My wrists are fine. But most of us will feel a little bit of work in the wrists. Oh. And then we're going to finish off with my favorite stretch, the pretzel. Charlotte's like, oh, for God's sake, really? Some people love this movement. Most people hate it, apart from me. So find a position where you can, well, find a spot where you can lie down on your side. So lying on whichever side, doesn't matter. But it's going to be my top leg that bends up towards my chest, my bottom arm that holds onto the knee. Bottom leg, I'm going to bend that up so I can get hold of the ankle. Some of you be laid there laughing right now, going, I can't get my ankle, I can get big toe, whatever you can get hold of. And then you're going to pull that bottom leg back behind you as much as you can. It becomes a quad stretch. Most of you have done a quad stretch, right? So it becomes a quad stretch, hip flexor stretch. And then what I'm trying to do essentially is open my chest to the sky. You can relax your head down. I'm trying to get knee to the floor. So top knee, I'm going to hold that there. And then back foot or bottom foot, if you like, down to the floor. And you probably won't get all of that, right? You've got what you've got. So for most of us coming into any kind of quad or hip flexor stretch, you're going to arch your back. I want you to actively see if you can curl your tailbone under. So if you actively curl your tailbone under, you will automatically feel more of a stretch in the quad anyway. But it just takes the arch out of your back. Not the arch in your back's a bad thing per se, but we're trying to get a quad and hip flexor stretch. So curl the tailbone under and breathe. That's the main thing. Breathe and relax. There's nothing worse than somebody tying you a knot and telling you to relax. Now, to come out of this, make sure that you roll so that you can pick your back foot up again towards the ceiling, so that when you let it go, it doesn't twang away from you. No uncontrolled movements allowed. And then you switch sides. So same thing again, as you top knee bending towards the chest. Bottom ankle, pull the leg behind you. Open the chest to the sky. Pretty much do this every session, right? So if you do come back, pretty much do this every session. So if you find that you're kind of like overworking with the neck, you can have a cushion nearby, a rolled up towel or whatever, and just shove it under your neck. If you need some support for your head. Doesn't bother me, but it bothers some people. The same thing, you know, I'm working out this side. It's harder work for me to get my knee down on this side, but I can get my foot down. So I'm working on my foot at the back being down. I'm curling my tailbone under, trying to just get rid of that arch so I feel more stretch in the quad. And I'm trying to slow my breathing down. After all that work that we've done, it's just a moment to bring the breath down, bring the heart rate down. Settle into another big rotational stretch. And then, like I say, coming out of that nice and steady, make sure you pick up the back foot so that it doesn't twang away from you. So you're not just letting stuff go. Oh, yeah. And I think we're about done. Not bad timing on my part. Most people that know me will vouch for the fact that I usually would keep you here for 3 hours, given half a chance. I hope we did okay. I'm conscious of how many there are of you. If you dislike me intensely now, you may just sign off. If anybody wants to chat to me or you've got questions, feel free to hang about. Like I say, feedback always welcome. You don't need to do feedback in the group. That's what it's all about. I want to know how you get on, what bit hurts, what bit doesn't hurt, whether you liked it. Not bothered if you didn't like it, just don't come back. Only kidding. If you didn't like it, I'd like that feedback as well. But otherwise, I hope you got something out of it. And those of you who've signed up for 27 sessions, I'll see you next week. I'll just assume everybody signing off is happy. Anybody who wants to talk to me? Oh, you're welcome, Suzanne. No problem at all.
Thanks. See you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Charlotte. Thanks, Suzanne. Nice to see you.
That was really good.
You're welcome. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You're welcome. Just keep signing off. If anybody stays, we can have a chat. You're welcome. Whoever that was, I think it was Lane.
Yep.
Thanks for letting me in late.
You're welcome. Oh, no problem. I was keeping a beady eye on it just in case.
The link you sent as a reminder yesterday, I'm not sure it was the same as the original one, but that one worked anyway.
Did it? Oh, that's a bit
but
weird.
The one I had saved didn't work. So anyway, I'm sorted. But I think that was like, the session was like black magic. I've got this.
In what way?
I really buggered my knee. And I've
Wait a minute. Claire, let me just switch off the recording and then you're not being